Joining me now for reaction, Senator from the great state of South Carolina, Chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Senator Lindsey Graham. Welcome to you, Senator. How are you?
You're doing great. It's not as easy as it looks, is it? You're doing really good. I'm doing great. Trey, it's a good day for the rule of law.
Yeah, you know, Senator, I was thinking on the way over here, over the past 4 years, there have been more FBI employees indicted than there have been Trump family members. What does that say about what this country's been through over the last 4 years?
Well, there's a couple of storylines today. An FBI lawyer in charge of reviewing warrants is going to plead guilty to falsifying documents to the FISA court against a Trump advisor. And if you're lucky, you'll find this in the mainstream media for 30 seconds. Can you imagine if the shoe were on the other foot and an FBI lawyer pled guilty today to falsifying documents against Hillary Clinton's advisor? It'd be front page news. So that's the world in which we live in. But I want to applaud Mr. Horowitz, the Inspector General. Without him, we wouldn't have known this. And what this lawyer did is a really big deal. We have to trust the system. There's got to be a certain amount of trust. This is a lawyer, a man of the law, a member of the bar, who took it upon himself to falsify a document to keep an investigation going that should have been stopped. Now, the media can't figure out why. Why? They hated Trump's guts. So this is a big day for the rule of law, and something tells me that Mr. Kleinsmith knows where the bodies are buried, and if I were in the FBI working on Crossfire Hurricane, I'd be very worried about right now.
Speaking of working for the FBI and being worried, you were concerned that the FBI maybe had misled the Senate Intelligence Committee. Can you update us on that and what you have learned and what you're working on?
This is a big day for transparency in the rule of law. So, Mr. Horowitz, it's not in his report, Trey, but he found a briefing document dated sometime in February 2018 that was prepared by the FBI because the Senate Intel Committee, used to be on the House Intel Committee, had real concerns about the Russian subsource. So they asked the FBI to come in and brief them. So I asked Director Wray, who did the briefing? Well, it's Bill Priestap. Who's this guy? He's one of the leaders of Crossfire Hurricane. A year after the subsource told the FBI in 2017, there's zero corroboration for the dossier. I wouldn't trust it with it's all a grain of salt, hearsay, bar talk. They knew for over a year, and now you got Bill Priestap on February the 15th, 2018, with 4 other people from the FBI briefing this Senate Intel Committee, completely whitewashing the truth about the reliability of the dossier. Now, Director Wray's been really good. He's given me the information. More is going to follow. But what I'm going to do with this is turn it over to Durham, because I think the briefing in 2018, a year after the subsource told the FBI the dossier was a bunch of garbage, whitewashing that report to the Senate Intel Committee is potentially another crime. So I'm going to send all this to Durham when I get it.
Senator, the American people are watching Democrats and mayors of liberal and progressive cities complain about state and local police misconduct. Where is the outrage among Democrats when you have police misconduct over an entity they actually have power over, control over, which is the FBI? Why is there not more bipartisan outrage over the last 4 years?
To my Judiciary Committee Democrats, this is about the rule of law. Many of you have been U.S. attorneys. What we have here is an FBI lawyer falsifying documents to the FISA court to keep an investigation going that should have stopped, falsifying documents to get a warrant against an American citizen, part of a presidential campaign. We now have, in 2018, a year after subsource told the FBI it was a bunch of garbage, the dossier, an effort by the FBI to lie to the Congress. And the reason Priestap lied to the Congress is if he told the Congress the truth about what the subsource told the FBI, he would expose the lie to the court. So Mr. Horowitz deserves a lot of credit here. Where's this thing going? The next thing I'm going to do, Trey, is I'm going to call to the committee and interview the case agent and the intel analyst who interviewed the Russian subsource in January and March of 2017, and they got memos showing that it was a bunch of garbage. The guy denied the reliability of the dossier. It was bar talk. It was hearsay, zero corroboration. And here's a simple question. The most high-profile case maybe ever in the history of the FBI, the document needed to get a warrant against Carter Page completely fell apart in terms of reliability. Who did you tell? What's the likelihood that the people who interviewed the Russian subsource did not tell McCabe, who's riding herd on the investigation, and eventually Comey, oh, by the way, our case fell apart? That's where I'm headed. And if they knew about this interview, and if they got a warrant in April and June, months after the interview, they should go to jail.
Senator, let me ask you quickly, we got about 20 seconds. What is the future, if any, of FISA?
It's hanging in a balance because people abuse power, and God knows we need it because the terrorists are coming after us, and we've got to rehabilitate the system. And the only way people are going to trust the FBI and FISA in the future is for people who lied, cheated, and manipulated to be fired and go to jail. Stay tuned.